Welcome to another S&P 500 analysis. Today is November 23rd, 2022. Today is Thanksgiving Eve, and I thought I'd just do a quick video looking at the relative strength of the sector and the other indexes relative to the S&P 500. So stay tuned. Looking at this S&P 500 daily chart here, you can see that the S&P 500 is making its way up toward this trend line here. And that would be basically somewhere near this 4,090 and 4,100. So let's see how the other index perform relative to the S&P 500. Here we are looking at the NASDAQ 100. As you can see, the NASDAQ 100 has been underperformed relative to the S&P 500. Although recently it's kind of flat, so it's basically performing along with the S&P 500. And here's the Russell 2000. The Russell 2000 was a bit of outperforming the S&P 500 up here until recently. From November on, we seem to see a little bit of underperformance from the Russell 2000. And for the Dow Jones Transportation, the Dow Jones Transportation been outperforming the S&P 500 until recently. It's kind of underperformed a little bit. Likewise, for the Dow Jones Industrial, been outperforming the S&P 500 until starting in November. Then a little bit underperforming and also kind of flat relative to the S&P 500. And the New York Stock Exchange Composite also been outperforming the S&P 500 until the month of November, and we see it's kind of flat or slightly underperformed. Now let's take a look at the sector, starting with the technology. You see the technology been underperforming until recently, kind of flat. So it's pretty much performing with the S&P 500. And that's basically been helping to hold the S&P 500 along. And here's the healthcare sector. And the healthcare sector been outperforming the S&P 500 until recently in the middle of November here. We see a little bit underperformance. And the consumer discretionary been underperformed the S&P 500 all along, even though recently, we see a little bit of a bounce, but it's still underperformed the S&P 500. And the financial been outperforming the S&P 500 until recently. We see a kind of flat, so basically performing along with the S&P 500. And the communication sector have been underperformed relative to the S&P 500, even though right now, recently, it's kind of flat, performing along with the S&P 500. So that been also helping to hold the S&P 500. The industrial, as we have seen from the Dow Jones Industrial, that is outperforming the S&P 500 until in November, seems to be a kind of flattish or slightly underperformed. And the consumer stable is pretty much flat. And the energy sector have been outperforming the S&P 500 until recently it's kind of flattish. So it's basically performing along with the S&P 500. And the real estate sector also been underperformed and been flat in the recent month. And strangely enough, the material sector has been outperforming the S&P 500 until recently it's kind of flattish. And the utility sector, since the end of September, it's been sort of underperformed the S&P 500 until recently it's kind of flattish. So those are the 11 sectors of the S&P 500 and also the other major market indexes comparing to the relative performance to the S&P 500. Wishing everybody a happy and a safe Thanksgiving, and don't forget to smash that thumbs up to help promote this video. Thank you for watching and stay safe.